And hello, welcome everyone to this video of OpenFOAM again. Though of course today we're not gonna be strictly talking about OpenFOAM, right? We're gonna talk about how to work with FreeCAD. Now, in the next few videos, I want to go through how to make shapes such as these, because these are very common shapes. This is perhaps one of the components you will find in a shell and tube heat exchanger. In fact, this is like a tube side of the heat exchanger. Okay, shell and tube heat exchanger. And this is one common problem for engineers, at least if you do heat transfer, engineers to solve. Of course, you can use FreeCAD to do other shapes as well, such as airfoils and everything, but that's more for the aerospace side, and I don't deal so much with that. But for heat transfer, you might be asked to make shapes such as these, and this is what a shell and tube heat exchanger looks like. Now, before I continue, I want to give credit. Okay, give credit to this guy called Powell. Okay, he made a very good video about how to use FreeCAD with OpenFOAM 7 in this CFD OpenFOAM toolbox, which basically allows you to use very limited version of OpenFOAM, OpenFOAM 7 or 8, the OpenFOAM alt version, how to use that with FreeCAD so that you have sort of a graphical user interface. But I'm not going to go through that. I don't have plans to, because first thing first, that version of OpenFOAM does not really encompass everything that OpenFOAM can do. It is still better to learn how to natively work through OpenFOAM as it is and use ParaView and etc. Alright, so here are some videos I actually reference. Okay, there's a FreeCAD datum line and datum plane. There are lots of features I want to go through, so buckle your seatbelts because you're gonna have a big dump of data if you're doing FreeCAD for the first time especially. And some of the forums I found very good help in for FreeCAD, especially when I run into issues like this over here. I'll paste it all in the links below, and of course you can look at shell and tube heat exchanger design for from Wikipedia. So this is basically a very basic version of what we're trying to do. We're doing the tube side of the shell and tube heat exchanger. I didn't do everything because I'm not doing a multi-region simulation yet. I'm just doing the fluids bit, nothing else. Alright, so that's what we want to do, and today we want to talk about some tools which we can learn to use to begin to do this sort of shape. Alright, this is the completed version, or at least partially complete. Use heat exchanger, the tube side. So I'm going to save this as a copy, like a tube side heat exchanger. Okay, but I'm going to close it and I'm going to start from scratch. Okay, so let's run FreeCAD. So basically we are trying to learn to make a shape like that. Okay, instead I'm going to look at this. Okay, well, I'm going to delete everything and start from scratch. Right, so that's where normally we would start. Okay, so you roughly know what the end product should look like. It's a heat exchanger. Alright, it's a heat exchanger. Alright, so how do you then start doing your heat exchanger? Well, you saw that there are two hemispheres, and then there are like a network of pipes in the middle, and one pipe for the inlet and one pipe for the outlet. So we want to start doing our heat exchanger by learning how to draw hemispheres. Okay, alright, so let's learn to draw some hemispheres. Okay, so we go to the part design. Okay, so I know it's very overwhelming. FreeCAD can be very overwhelming, so just ignore everything, all these, and go straight to part design, because we are going to design our parts. Go straight to doing the create body. So we are going to create a new body and make it active. Alright, and then next thing we are going to do is we're going to double click this body. You're going to click on this body here on the left hand panel under labels and attributes under tree view. Alright, if you ever turn off your tree view by accident, go to view and go to panels, select tree view and combo view in case you get lost, which is very common if you are starting out. So let's just do a first thing first, create sketch. Alright, we want to create a sketch. So since this is a 3D object, I want to be very careful about where I start making the sketch. So where do I want to start making the sketch? Well, my vertical direction, I want it to be either the Z or the Y direction. Okay, so I will just choose the Y direction to be the vertical one. So since I'm making Y direction my vertical direction, I will take the XZ plane as to start. Alright, so when we select that XZ plane, and we are left with this. Okay, so we want to start doing this hemisphere, and will be brought automatically to the sketcher tool. Alright, so first thing first, how do we do a hemisphere? Well, a hemisphere is basically, we do a semicircle or a quarter circle, then we start to rotate it. If you learned integrals before, we sort of learn how to calculate the volume of, if you do calculus before, we learn how to rotate a shape over in 360 degrees, 180 degrees, to form a sort of a solid volume. And that's the basic thing of what we want to do here. So there are two, hopefully you know your calculus well. If not, you can go and brush up. But if you're not too sure what's going on, okay, so first thing, we are making a semicircle. Alright, we just want to make a semicircle, and then we rotate it. We rotate it so that we can make a hemisphere, which is half of a sphere. Alright, so you will start with this grid, and you will see this little red dot in the center. Okay, so how do you start drawing a hemisphere? You will need to start drawing a line first for the bottom of the hemisphere. Okay, so how do you draw a line? Okay, go to the sketcher tool. Over here you'll see point. Okay, on top you'll see all these shapes here, and depending on your version of FreeCAD, it may be different, but the first thing you want to look for is a line. So it says create a line in the sketch. Okay, so how do you make a line? You select a start and end points. Okay, a start and end point. Okay, random start and end point. I'm not doing it in any particular way, fashion, or order, because we are just starting out. Alright, so that's a line, and great, we have a line. So let's say our line was kind of offset. Okay, we can move this line around freely, etc. We can shift either point, and the line will shift in direction and shift in shape, angle, and length as well. So how do we start? Alright, we want this point to be the center of this line. So how do we do that? Okay, so I'm going to introduce you to this idea of constraints. So constraints are basically ways that we can make sure, because these lines are very loose, when we draw any shape on FreeCAD, they tend to be pretty loose. Okay, and we want to learn to attach them to some points. Alright, so how do we then attach them? Okay, so first thing first, we want this point to be in the center of this line, right? So we need to say that this point is in the middle. It's in the middle of this line, or in other words, we can say that when this point is at this line, the left hand side and the right hand side are symmetrical, right? So the other way of saying that the midpoint, this line must be this point must be the midpoint of this line 1. All right. The other way of saying it is that you have to say that this is a line of symmetry. All right. So at this point is a point of symmetry for this line. Okay. So we need to put a symmetry constraint. I hope you're following. Yeah, it may be a bit difficult. Alright, so what we need to do is basically we look for the symmetry constraint. Okay, we are trying to fix this line down, constrain this line down. Okay, so go to the top right. Alright, you'll see all the shapes here. Keep going right and you will see this part here where it talks, and you'll see all these funny shapes here. Alright, go for the one that looks like someone who's laughing really hard, and you'll see this emojis. Yeah, this is where it says create a symmetry constraint. Now I'm going to go through it again. Remember, in your toolbar, look for the stuff, the shape, alright, where you see a dot, you see this circle thingy, an L-shaped thingy, this minus sign looking thing, and then this equal sign that's very offset. Okay, go to these arrows and look for this thing called symmetry constraint. Okay, now when you click that and you have nothing else selected, your FreeCAD will probably ask you, no, what do you want to constrain? So I need to select this line and this point. Okay, and that will force these points to become symmetrical, and this point will become the midpoint of this line. Okay. Alright, so let's say let's say we want to restart, right? Let's say you made a mistake and you didn't want this symmetrical constraint. You can actually just select, okay, zoom in, select this sketch, and you kind of like zoom down. You can see this. Okay, you can delete constraints two ways. You can try and click on this cross here, which is the symmetry constraint, press delete, and then it will be free. Alright, the other way, I can just press Ctrl Z to undo. The other way of doing it is you go to the combo view on the left hand side. Okay, combo view, remember combo view. If you're not sure where the combo view is or it's turned off, you can take a look here. Under view and panels, go to combo view. Alright, so combo view, under combo view, you will have solver messages, edit controls, and constraints. So go to the constraints tab and you just press delete. Alright, when you delete that, you basically get rid of this constraint. Alright, and I press escape. Okay, if you ever get to this view and you want to edit your sketch again, just go to the tree view and double click sketch. You'll be editing your sketch again. Alright, so these are some of the basic ways to work around this thing. Alright, now the other way you can do constraints, make constraints work for this line and point, the symmetry constraint in particular. You can select this line and you can select this point. Alright, so select this line, click this line and click this point. Alright, and then you put the symmetry constraint and it will automatically do it for you. So these are two ways of doing it, and you can just do Ctrl Z to undo any changes if you don't want them to stay. So alright, I'm going to click and the other way, of course, if you want to select multiple points and everything, you just press Ctrl and click. You will select them and it will become green color. Alright, so I'm going to go Ctrl and click, okay, just so for demonstration as well. It's pretty much the same effect, but but sometimes Ctrl and click is better if you want to select multiple bodies or points or etc. So I'm going to do a symmetry constraint. So what does a symmetry constraint do? When I shift these points around, it will behave as such. Okay, next thing I want to do to make this semicircle is to make this line perpendicular to this line. Alright, this line perpendicular, okay, this line perpendicular to this line. Now there are two ways of doing it. One of the ways is that I attach one of these points to this axis over here. Okay, so again I can click this point and I click this axis, both of them will be highlighted in green, and I say fix a point onto an object, which is over here. If I do that, then this point will be fixed on this axis, and basically this line will become perpendicular to this line. Alright, Again, if you're not happy with this, you can select here, press this thing, click this thing, and press the delete button. It will get rid of this constraint and you are free to move again. Alright, so the other way is to use this perpendicular tool. Alright, so go to the same place where you find your symmetry constraint. So I'm going to click both of these lines. Go to the same place where you find this symmetry constraint and select this, create a perpendicular constraint between two lines. So what does it do? It makes sure that this line and this axis is perpendicular. Alright, so this is what it does. Okay, now the third thing I want to fix down is the length of this line, right? Because I basically have this line fixed onto this axis, but I need to make sure it's of a certain length so that it does not keep moving around. So what can I do? Again, I can actually constrain the length of this line. So let's say I want a 70 mm long line. Okay, what do? I can click this line. I'll go to the top right, the same place where I find the symmetry and perpendicular constraints, and I will find this thing saying fix the horizontal distance between 2 points or line ends. That's one of the ways. Second way is you actually fix the length of a line. Alright, okay, fix the length of a line. Alright, now both of these will actually work, but I prefer the second method because in case your line is not strictly speaking horizontal, you can still fix the length that way. Alright, what do I mean? Okay, the line here is kind of stuck and forced to become horizontal. But what happens if your line is so-called like this? Alright, so I deleted that constraint, and let's say your line is like this and you want to fix the distance. How are you supposed to do it? You can it'll be a lot harder if you want to use this fixed horizontal distance between 2 points or line ends. Alright, so you don't want to do that. This will be a better way, and I want to make it 70 mm. Oh wow, that's 70 meters. Okay, so if you don't like it, double click that 70 and you will see that 70 mm. Okay, so see, this thing is now 70 mm, and I can shift it around as and how I please, and that's basically making a 70 mm long line. Now if I'll demonstrate for you what happens if we do it the other way around. Let's say I want to fix the horizontal distance and make that 70 mm. So that will do it this way, right? Alright, I will be able to shift the actual length of the line. Alright, I'll be able to shift the actual length of the line up and down. Okay, but the horizontal, this is the horizontal distance being fixed. I can still shift it up and down like this, and that's not exactly what I intend to do. If you want to do something like that, sure, but that's not the aim of this thing. And of course, equivalently, you can do it for the vertical distance as well, but which is over here. But I'm not going to do it because it's kind of pretty straightforward. All right, so 70 mm is here, and then I want to make it these two lines perpendicular. Okay, right. So once you have made all the lines okay, once you have made all the once you have fixed this line completely, meaning to say, this line is fixed in space, it's fixed in length, it's fixed in the orientation, the positioning, everything, it will turn into this light green color. Okay, a light green color means that this line is fully constrained. It is fixed there, you can't move it. That's it. Okay, that's what it means to have a fully constrained sketch. Now, okay, this is one way of doing things. Okay, but in the course of your drawing lines and everything, you might run into some funny situations. For example, you will run into this thing called redundant constraints. That means, all right, let me give you an example. All right, let's say this point is fixed to this line. That's 1. This point is also fixed to this line. That's 2. Okay. And then I want to make this line perpendicular. Okay. I want to make this distance 70. Alright, let me go again. I want to make this distance here 70 mm. Okay, and I can't because now both of these are actually stuck. Both of these lines are actually stuck there. Alright. So what does it say in the solver messages? So this is under combo view, under solver messages. It says sketch contains redundant constraints. Click to select. Please remove the following redundant constraint. That means constraint number 2. Okay, this is what it is over here. Go to constraint number 2 and it says this perpendicular constraint is redundant. Okay, that means it's you have fixed this line. I mean, you have over constrained this line, and you don't have to use this perpendicular constraint. All right. So what do you do in such a case if your drawing is over constrained? Then what I say, my recommendation, my personal opinion is, start looking for the constraints you don't need. For example, like this point you fix here, you don't need it to be fixed to the line here. All right, I don't need that. Okay, and what I want is just to be 70 mm distance. All right, just for this to be 70 mm distance. All right, now if you're really not sure what to do, okay, my other recommendation is to delete all the constraints, start from scratch. Okay, this will ensure that you have the constraints that you want. All right, this will ensure that you have the constraints that you want. For example, the perpendicular constraint, the symmetry constraint, and the length of the line constraint. All right, so that's what constraints are about. All right. Okay, so I spent a lot of time talking and we have not even drawn a semicircle yet. I've just explained a very long way of getting you used to the idea of constraints and drawing lines. I mean, this is the very basics of FreeCAD which you need to learn. But I think I've already passed the 20-minute mark and I don't want to drag this video too long. So I'll just leave it as this now. This is about drawing lines. So in the next video, hopefully I'll be able to finish drawing the semicircle and not talk too long unnecessarily. But I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you guys again. Thanks for watching.